Wikileaks announces through its X account that Julian Assange is free. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro led the ceremony for the commemoration of the 203rd anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo. And in Brazil, a state of emergency has been declared following forest fires in Mato Grosso do Sul state. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Through its X account, Wikileaks announces that Julian Assange is free. The post states that Julian Assange is free and that he left Belmarsh maximum security prison on the morning of June 24th after having spent 1,901 days there. He was granted bail by the High Court in London and was released at Stansted Airport during the afternoon, where he boarded a plane and departed the UK. After more than 5 years in a 2.3-meter cell, isolated 23 hours a day, he will soon reunite with his wife Stella Assange and their children. Wikileaks published groundbreaking stories of government corruption and human rights abuses, holding the powerful accountable for their actions. As editor-in-chief, Julian paid severely for these principles and for the people's right to know. Finally, this statement indicates that as Assange returns to Australia, they thank all who stood by them, fought for them, and remained utterly committed in the fight for his freedom. More information will be provided as soon as possible. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro led the ceremony for the commemoration of the 203rd anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo. During the event, Maduro stressed that the Battle of Carabobo, more than a struggle, was a strategic plan carried out by the liberator Simón Bolívar, together with a popular army that dreamed of the freedom that had been stolen by the Spanish Empire. The head of state also condemned the South American oligarchies that denied Bolívar's heroic exploits against the Spanish colonial power and denounced the intentions of today's national oligarchies and the far right to hand over Venezuela's armed forces to U.S. interests. On Monday, the Vice President of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, condemned that sectors of the extreme right are seeking the intervention of the U.S. as a way to recover the national economy. During the shakeup of the 1x10x10 machinery ahead of the presidential elections of July 28th, Cabello assured that Venezuela's internal issues must be solved only by the Venezuelan people. At the same time, Cabello warned that the extreme right wing only pretends to control the country for its own interest and not for the benefit of the people. Likewise, Vice President of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela assured that the national government has the best electoral structure to guarantee a revolutionary victory on July 28th.
Because some mistakenly believe that the only way to save Venezuela is for the gringos to come with their troops. Some believe that. They implore the gringos and send them messages. Let's recall first that the gringos are busy with their internal affairs, which are serious. And second, that here in Venezuela, I believe that the most important thing we have shown in these 25 years is that we Venezuelans solve the problems of Venezuela and that we Venezuelans do not accept interference from anyone.
The Vice President of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela also stated that they will guarantee the electoral victory for the presidential elections of next July 28, 2024.
We are sure that on July the 28th in Táchira, as in all of Venezuela, we will go out to celebrate in style the great Bolivarian victory, the great revolutionary victory, the great victory of our brother Nicolás Maduro.
Also in Venezuela, delegates of the government of Colombia and the Second Marquetalia, one of the largest groups of dissidents of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, begin a new round of peace talks. In this context, both delegations met in order to promote changes and democratic reforms, focus on the peace of the people and the territories, and to begin debates around the members of the group and the overall peace policy promoted by the Colombian government. In this regard, as part of President Gustavo Petro's policy, his administration is engaged in dialogues with the National Liberation Army and the self-proclaimed Central Majority of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia.
Venezuela, as host of this first round of negotiations, takes this opportunity to reiterate its commitment to continue working vigorously for the reconciliation of our beloved Colombia and to make our Latin America and the Caribbean a territory of peace, union, and prosperity. Caracas, June 24, 2024.
The chief of the Colombian government delegation, Armando Novoa, said that the conflicts with the armed groups worsened due to the improper implementation of peace agreements by previous governments.
Ninguno de esos conflictos.
None of these conflicts arose from the installation of current President Pedro's government, but were inherited from the precarious and regrettable circumstances in which the country was left, among other reasons due to an improper implementation of the 2016 peace agreement.
For his part, the former member of the FARC, Iván Márquez, affirmed that the dissident group Second Marquetalia has all the disposition to contribute to the achievement of peace in Colombia.
Today we want to state that the Second Marquetalia Bolivarian Army under my command and its collective leadership has all the disposition to contribute to the common achievement of peace for Colombia, which we inscribe within the more general purposes of political, economic, social, cultural, and environmental change demanded by the historical moment our country is going through.
Chilean Supreme Court decided to extend the extradition request against former President Alberto Fujimori for his alleged responsibility in the forced women sterilization during his government. The ruling comes after a request made by the Peruvian embassy in Chile, which would allow the Peruvian judiciary to have more time to process the former president if found guilty. Chilean Supreme Court Judge Andrea Muñoz also authorized the Peruvian courts to try Fujimori for other alleged kidnapping and homicide cases. However, the judge rejected other requests related to criminal conspiracy and embezzlement on the grounds of prosecution period already being expired. In Costa Rica, 1 out of every 3 violent deaths of women registered is a femicide. Feminist organizations and lawmakers called on the executive branch to declare a national emergency. The Observatory of Gender Violence Against Women and Access to Justice reported 29 violent deaths of women from the beginning of 2024 to June 13th. The organization assures that there are 18 additional pending cases awaiting confirmation. Women's rights defenders also pointed out that femicides do not have the media coverage of other cases of violence and feared their occurrence is being normalized. In Brazil, the state of emergency has been declared following forest fires in Mato Grosso do Sul state. The local government, by means of a communique, declared that the Pantanal region is suffering the worst fires in 2020. It also pointed out that forest fires have increased during the month, affecting more than 600,000 hectares of vegetation. The Pantanal is the largest wetland in the world and covers an important part of Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay. Specialists say that due to the effects of El Niño, climate change, drought, and the low rainfall, the fire season has been brought forward several weeks. Through a communique, authorities warn about the possibility of new floods in the territories of southern Brazil. According to the authorities, the alert was decreed taking into account that the waters of the Guaíba River have risen in the last 24 hours. One of the main cities on alert is the city of Porto Alegre in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, which has not yet recovered from the rains that affected the region in April and May and left 117 people dead and 37 missing. In China, authorities raised the red alert due to the heavy rains in rainfall expected in different regions of the country. China's National Meteorological Center on Monday renewed a weather alert for precipitation forecast from 8 a.m. on Monday to 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Blizzards are expected to hit parts of the region south of the Yangtze River, the Yanghan Plain, and the regions along the Yangtze and the Huahui rivers. The meteorological agency has advised local governments to take proper measures and check the drainage systems in the city, farmlands and ponds. In Palestine, social movements informed there are at least 21,000 Palestinian children missing as Israel continues bombing the Gaza Strip. The international organization Save the Children warned that occupation troops kidnapped many children during the displacement of Palestinian families. It is estimated that at least 17,000 minors are separated from their relatives, while another 4,000 are buried under the rubble or in unmarked graves. The organization also stated that reuniting children with their families is difficult due to the Israeli aggressions, which also restricts access to the occupied territories. Since October 2023, the Israeli regime has killed more than 14,000 minors in Gaza. In Palestine, the Colonization and World Resistance Commission accused the government of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of intensifying the theft of Palestinian land in the occupied West Bank. A communique issued by the institution denounced that since the arrival to power of that cabinet at the end of 2022, radical changes were approved to promote the expansion plans of the settlements occupying and stealing more and more Palestinian lands. The Commission also condemned the forced displacement of civilians in various communities to expand settlements in the occupied territories, actions considered illegal by the international community and several United Nations Security Council resolutions. To date, Israel has invaded close to 2,700 hectares of land in the occupied West Bank. In Palestine, Israeli forces detain more Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. Organizations defending the rights of Palestinian prisoners confirmed that the Israeli occupation forces carried out a series of arrests in the West Bank, detaining at least 20 people, including minors and high school students. They also denounced the ill treatment accompanying the arrest, including beatings, threats against their families, and damage to their property. These organizations denounced that the number of Palestinians arrested in illegal raids since October 2023 amounts to more than 9,300 in the West Bank. The South Korean government reported that at least 22 people died after a fire broke out at a battery factory 45 kilometers from the capital, Seoul. A member of the fire department, Kim Jin-jong, told reporters that the identification of the victims is difficult due to the burns warnings that 20 foreigners are among the deceased, 18 of them Chinese, one from Laos and one person of an unknown nationality. Authorities reported that the fire started at the second plant in the Hwaseong city, where more than 100 people were working at the factory. They also indicated that at least 2 of the injured are being treated for serious wounds at the health center closest to the factory. The fire department started the search for missing persons and assured that they will investigate the cause of the fire. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.